bravefathers.com.
All right, so we're here today a little bit early, about half a minute early, but maybe a little longer, a few seconds. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. My name is John Paul from bravefathers.com. And today we are talking about a very, very, very important topic. And it's a topic that is dear to my heart because it's something that a lot of fathers struggle with, which is going against a female narcissist in court. Going against a female narcissist in court. Now, what we've got today is quite a few important points that you need to consider if you are facing this situation. However, I must say upfront to you that I am not a lawyer. None of this constitutes legal advice. I'm not a qualified mental health professional, so seek qualified psychiatric or psychological advice if you need that. And a lot of the things I will say today will offend you and they will trigger you. So if you are concerned about being offended or triggered, my advice to you is to turn off now. Stop watching right now so that we can continue with those who are willing and ready and able to take the responsibility for their own feelings. All right, so you're still here. Good. So let's start diving in to the matter. If you are in family court, wherever you're in the world, and the mother of your children is stopping you from seeing your kids, that is classified as abuse. Now, unfortunately, in virtually all Western courts and many courts in other parts of the world, there is a bias that favors mothers. So often, where there is guidance or laws that would affect mothers who are abusive this way, they are not implemented against the mothers. There was recently a case, which now that I think about it, I should have actually put up the neutral citation. I will remember and put it in the description. Let me write that down. So put, it was an alienation case. Alienation case in description. And the reason why this case is important is that the father took the kids away from the mother, right? And it was said that the father turned the kids against the mother. And it might well be true. True. I've read the appeal judgment. I've not yet read the original decision that I believe was also published. And I think there was two appeals. So I think I've not, yeah, so I don't know the original appeal, the original decision before the second one. To be fair, I'm not certain if it was an appeal or was just a judgment that was published for public interest, because I read the case last week. But the point is this: the father took the kids away, traveled with them, and it is said that the father turned the kids against the mother. Now that I think about it, this is what mothers do all the time. They do it indiscriminately. True, there are some times when there are orders put to bring them back into the jurisdiction and so forth. But it's common that mothers are allowed to take the kids away and separate them from the father. And it's a very, very hurtful experience. When they turn the kids against the father, it's a very long and difficult process to prove that that's what happened. So, of course, when a man does it, I do not condone it either. As you may know, I am not in favor of the gender wars. So I don't support feminism, but I also don't support movements like Red Pill and Grow Pace and other such movements. I have no support for them. I believe every man should think for himself. Yes, you can be part of my movement, but each member is an individual who thinks for himself. So I don't believe in group thing. That's why I said, if you have disagreements, share them in your comments. But the father took the kids, turned the kids against the mother. The court decided the father should have no contact with the children. It may well be that that man is a narcissist. I don't know. I did not see a diagnosis. He showed no remorse for his actions. He claimed there was no abuse. Again, I don't know what exactly the alleged abuse was, but I do know that many mothers do this to fathers. And your children's mother may be doing it to you, which is why you are here. So that brings us to another important point. The female narcissist already has an advantage over you in the family court because she's a female. So the bias is, whether it's written or unspoken in the law where you live, that the mother ends up having the kids and you end up being estranged from them. But what's worse about the narcissist is that usually she will come at you with false allegations. She will lie a lot. She will smear you and she will just make you look bad. So let's take a few steps back so that you understand how you arrived at this point, and then you will know what to do when I give you the techniques and strategies you can use to overcome the narcissist. But the first thing you have to understand is it's very, very, very difficult. That's why most fathers fail. So my suggestion to you is pay close attention and be ready to put in the work. If you want to succeed, you have to put in the work. So how did we get ourselves in this situation? So usually what happens is this. You meet a female with whom you click. And when you click with her, it almost feels like you're soulmates. And she may actually tell you that she feels you are her soulmate. Very often, she'll give you the kind of treatment that you don't usually get from women. And the secret is she knows you don't get that treatment from women. This is important because a lot of guys who are bitching and moaning about women online don't understand that they are feeding information to narcissistic women because they know what hurts you. And when you meet this woman in real life, she will listen to you. She'll say, "Oh, I can't believe you're by yourself. You're such an amazing guy. What happened with your ex?" And if you had a horrible ex or a horrible breakup, you may think it's a good idea to tell her what happened in that relationship, right? And she's gonna be like, "Oh, so bad," and she's gonna make sure she's exactly opposite or complementary to what you had. So whatever you are missing, she'll give it to you. Whatever you wanted, she will give it to you. Sex, affection, love, making you feel like a man, so to speak. She will do all those things because she knows you will love her for it. And so she will also study your insecurities, she will study your weaknesses, and she will study your desires. Now, the good thing about it is when she moves on to the next stage, it will show you, if you pay close attention and you reflect back, a lot of your weaknesses and a lot of your insecurities. And that process is very important to go through, as painful as it is and as horrible as it is. But in my experience, when you're able to grieve and address those insecurities and those weaknesses, you become more of who you really are. And you actually end up becoming stronger and more powerful than you were when you met her, which you need in order to defeat her in court. So the more she studies you, the more she starts to reel you in. But because of her nature as a narcissist, she can't help it but every now and then to attack you. It will be little things, like little blades coming at you. And usually it will be so tiny, you feel it. You feel like something is wrong. Something is just off in her tone. Something is off in the remark she made. Something is wrong in the way she looked at you. Something is wrong with what she did. But because it's so incongruent with the image she's portrayed to you thus far, you will discard it or you will dismiss it. And that's how she starts planting her little ropes in you. So it's very important to understand that not every woman who is good to you is a narcissist. Of course, that would be nonsensical. There are a lot of good women to you. But I believe that as a man, you must lead the relationship. So her being good to you has to be related to what you expect from the relationship. A lot of guys just, follow their feelings. Oh, I love her. And then let's say she does your laundry, right? And you allow it. That's wrong. if you've only known her, let's say, for 3 weeks, and she does your laundry, that is a red flag or a potential red flag, because it's too early to jump so much into the relationship. If you are not usually, if you're not the kind of guy to sleep around, have a lot of women around you, and a woman suddenly starts doing that, I would be very wary. And a lot of guys who complain about these things, especially when they complain about sexless marriages and such, they they say, "Oh, she was so nice, and then she became somebody else." And the truth is, she was not nice. She was just playing a role because she knew that's how she could rope you in. So be very vigilant. And my suggestion is, going forward, do expect good things from women, but don't rush into them because you don't want to find yourself back in the same situation, right? You need to really assess who you're dealing with, you know. But once he's roped you in, he's going to move into the second stage. And the second stage is she's going to start devaluing you. Mind you, when she met you, from the moment she met you, she was already destroying your reputation to some people in her life. She's most likely seeing at least one other person. So she's going to make negative remarks and tell negative stories about you to that person. Often, and we'll talk about this again today, she will do things to you, but she'll tell the other person that you did those things to her. So all the time she's playing the angel to you, she's destroying your reputation somewhere. That's because as she moves towards the stages, she needs assistance. She needs some call them flying monkeys. She needs minions to do her bidding, because narcissists, both male and female, don't like to expend energy that they can't get a return on, a profit on, right? So if she's going to, for example, attack you in a way and she doesn't get a big emotional reaction from you, it's not worth it for her. And if you're not that invested in her, in the beginning, you are not going to really react how she wants, because narcissists, all narcissists, male, female, or any other of the, I believe we are at 106 genders right now. I'm not certain. I think the last time I counted it was 97 genders. Whatever the gender the person is, a narcissist will always need a reaction from you to feed on. They need you to think about them. They need you to react to them. They need you to even attack them. They need to see that they have an impact on you. Otherwise, it's not worth it for them. And they do this because they need to keep up their false persona that they present. And they do this with so many people. It's a very, you know, ridiculous juggling, personality juggling process that they've been doing since they were children. So by the time you get to the devaluing stage, where she starts to devalue you, at that point, she will have already gotten some people who've never met you but already hate you and don't like you. So she becomes bolder with her attacks on you. So she may start calling you names. The arguments may start getting more heated. They may last longer. She may start doing very weird things, to harm you, like take your stuff, break your things, and apologize, and then she'll go to extreme measures to apologize to you. She may book a special trip for you. She may buy you an expensive gift. She will do a striptease for you, something that you like. And again, it doesn't mean that all women who do a striptease for you or buy you expensive things are narcissists, but the narcissist does those things to mask what they are going to do to you next. So the primary goal of a narcissist is to secure narcissistic supply, which is, as we discussed, your reactions, your life force, your energy being focused on them. They really need that, which is another thing that you need to keep in mind, because you will need it when you get to court. And we'll come to that when we're looking at the techniques. So the devaluation stage is a very tricky one, because you start seeing the evil side of the narcissist more. You start recognizing it. But at the same time, you are so drunk on the poison that you've had from the beginning, on the toxic love that you've received, that you are in a stage where you're addicted to that person. So even though you know you need to walk away, at that point it's very difficult. And mind you, you are not aware of your insecurities and your weaknesses as much as the narcissist is, because the narcissist has spent the beginning stage studying you. And perhaps the adage that goes, know thyself, is a very important one, because the more you know yourself, the more difficult it is for the narcissist to um, keep you under control. When I had been under influence of a narcissist in the past, more than one actually, because I believe a lot of people around me when I was growing up were narcissistic. But a lot of, but in this particular case, what helped me get out was realizing that what was going on was not compatible with who I am at all. So that's why I started withdrawing before I reached, the final stage, which is the discard stage. That's where the narcissist has already devalued you a lot, has already put you down a lot, and you're the most addicted to them. When they feel that addiction, when they feel you can't let go, when you think you love them the most, and that's where they drop you in the most painful way they can imagine. So I believe if I hadn't spent a lot of time studying myself before I had my major narcissistic experience, I would have still been in her control. And I'm lucky that I started the process early. So even though I had weaknesses and insecurities that allowed her to hook in, I started noticing then that I realized something was off. I didn't know at the time there was such a thing as a narcissist. I really didn't know there was such a deep level of human evil on this planet as these people are, because they are cruel, they are ruthless, and they have no regard for your suffering. In fact, they feed on it. So a lot of guys who get stuck in the cycle, and even after the relationship is over, they are still in it. They are still thinking of how evil this person was. And it takes a while to recover. It takes a while to deal with it. But when you recognize these three stages, it starts breaking the illusion. Because once you start functioning again after the discard stage, because it is gonna throw you off for a while. But once you start functioning again, what you realize is who you thought she was fake. And so once that illusion starts to break, you start realizing a lot of things, not just about her, also about yourself and the people in your life. You start realizing that you lived a lie, and the narcissist recognized that you were living a lie and fed into that lie and attached herself into that lie. And it's important to know this, because this is where I get some of the biggest resistance from fathers. They don't want to accept that they were prey, that this is not something that happens to everybody, or it could happen to anybody. No, it could not happen to anybody. It can only happen to people who are not self-aware enough to know where they are insecure and where they are weak as people. We are raised to think weaknesses and insecurities, should carry a stigma. Whether or not they carry a stigma is irrelevant. They are still insecurities and they are still weaknesses. If you have a bridge and one of the columns is weak, right? The bridge is gonna fall at some point. You're not gonna say, you know what, I don't want to offend the bridge's feelings, or I don't want to offend the architect or the engineers or the masons and whoever else worked on the bridge. I don't want to offend them, so I'm not going to admit that that column is weak, right? Because people would die if you ignore it. But it's the same in your life as a human being, as a person. So The bridge, I'm just writing that down because I'm gonna make a short video about this. The bridge analogy actually shows you that you have to really see your weaknesses and your insecurities, because that's what the narcissist is going to attack when you are in court, right? Think about this. She knows what hurts you the most. She knows what gets to you above everything. She knows how to get a reaction from you. So whatever lie she's going to make up about you is going to be based on your insecurities. Whatever lies the female narcissist is going to make about you are going to be made upon your weaknesses. So just like a bridge that is weak, you will not ignore that bridge. And just like that, you don't want to ignore your own weaknesses. So I'll give you some quick examples. So if you are not used to females treating you good, that is a weakness, because then you have a negative view of females. And the narcissist knows this, so she's gonna what? Treat you well. But she also knows that because you expect to be treated bad, she knows you will not walk away, right? Because you will think it's normal. It's part of the relationships. And I believe about 80% at least of the male population today believes that it's normal to be somehow abused or disregarded or disrespected by a female. They think it's normal. So then, if you think that way and it starts happening to you, you accept it. You don't walk away, right? And I've had people arguing with me and even blocking me on X for stating that you should drop a female, even if you've been married to her for years, who disrespects you, right? But that's how they get caught. And even I've seen people posting, "Oh, my wife was bitching at me the whole day, and then I kept doing nice things for her, and she finally, became nice to me." Like, that is low self-esteem, and that's abuse. And narcissists will take advantage of you. So if you're the kind of male who will accept abuse, you will almost never have a chance in the family courts. You may win. I'm not saying you can't, but you reduce your chances significantly. Why? Because she's going to trigger a reaction, because she knows your insecurities and your weaknesses. But if you grieve them, if you work on them, if you recognize them in the first place, they start to dissipate. So she will do things and you will not even feel anger. You may even laugh at some of those things, you know. So the first step really is to start grieving the pain. But when I say grieving, I don't mean just feel sorry for yourself. What I mean is actually allow the pain to go. Allow yourself to have a good life without this woman. Yes, I know you want to see your children. I know you love them and she's taking them from you. I know she's hurt you. But right now, if you're dealing with an actual narcissist, you must focus on yourself above everybody else. You must, because you can't help your children if you don't get stronger, right? So imagine you're sick in bed and you're not taking care of yourself. How will you be strong for your children? You can't. But when your soul is sick, well, I don't know if your soul can be sick, but when you're emotionally and spiritually ill, right? You're not as strong as you should be. You must focus on getting better. Get your emotions together, get your physical self together, get your intellectual self together, get yourself together. Get yourself together, not by making money, not by doing, going to the gym. I'm not saying don't go to the gym. I'm not saying don't make money. But what I'm saying is spend time by yourself, reflecting, grieving, cry, weep, wail, let it out, let it go. And this is to be done by yourself. This is not something that anybody can help you with. This is a time where you realize nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is coming to save you. I'm not going to save you. A judge is not going to save you. A lawyer is not going to save you. The narc is not going to save you. Yes, Jesus Christ will save your soul, but this you must walk. This is like the moment when Christ said, "Why have you forsaken me, Father?" This is your cross. This is where you are nailed to the cross. And it is an excruciating pain and a very horrific and horrifying experience when you're letting out the pain, because it's on visceral levels, on the deepest depth of your soul. So you have to be willing to go through that pain, and you have to go through it by yourself. Nobody should witness it. And you really have to start learning how to truly, truly trust and rely on yourself. So that's your first step, because that is what makes you immune to the emotional and spiritual attacks you will receive from the narcissist, because she is going to do it. And because she knows you love your children, that's where she's going to attack the most, because she knows that's where she can hurt you the most. And she knows that as long as she's got the kids as bait, as hostages, you will keep coming. So she's guaranteed great narcissistic supply, because you will get emotional. But you have to learn how to detach from the situation. So once you've done that, really a lot of it is breaking that illusion. Because again, the illusion is based on your fantasy. Excuse me. The illusion is based on your fantasy of the kind of woman you've always dreamt of. It's not a real thing. No human being is going to be perfect for you, ever. Nobody is going to be perfect for you, because we are just humans. All of us have our flaws that other people don't like about us. Some may even be repulsed by our flaws, right? So it's a fantasy to expect that you'll meet a perfect woman. Yes, Disney has sold us that idea. Romance movies, rom-coms, chick flicks, all sell us that idea. Even action movies. Even, what's that game? Mario Brothers, Star Wars. There's always that perfect female, right? But that's fantasy. It draws millions of people to the fantasy, but it's not real. So breaking that illusion will open your eyes to reality, the reality that you have been missing, but the reality that the narcissist is keenly and very much aware of. So when you start realizing she was not who you thought she was, that's when you can start forgiving yourself. You can start forgiving life for all that's happened to you. All your regrets, all the things that you are hard on yourself for, all the things that you're harsh on yourself for, you can start letting them go. And you can start attracting a higher quality of people into your life. Because if you're at this stage, most likely the narcissist has turned a lot of people against you, right? So you may feel isolated, which is the purpose. Narcissists usually isolate their prey. So you may feel isolated, you may feel alone, you may feel discarded, which you have been, and it's painful. The good news is that pain is what sets you free if you don't dwell on it, if you process it and you let it go. So the other thing you have to work on, because again, you have to be emotionally prepared, otherwise you don't have a chance in court. And we'll get to the actual court techniques as well in a moment. But the next thing you have to work on is your fear. Because the narcissist knows how to trigger your fear. You're afraid that you'll never see your children again. You're afraid of the effect of the false allegations. You're afraid of losing half of your money, if not more. A lot of guys are afraid of that, and that's why they stay abused. I don't understand that, because I don't see why you would value $1 million over yourself. It's not worth it. And I have a lot of respect for fathers who walked away from everything and then they gain more. I walked away with nothing but a backpack, and I gained so much more. And I'm still gaining more. Material things, they come and go. And once you realize that there is a process to it, you don't get afraid. You don't get afraid. And the truth is, if the narcissist knows you're afraid to walk away, they will keep abusing you. So if you're unwilling to lose some things, which you will lose, you see, the narcissist can destroy your life. that everything that you're trying to hold on to, you will lose anyway. If you are watching this, it's too late for certain things. You are in a bad spot and you must realize it. If you've noticed, I've not put a lot of energy into, putting down the narcissist or speaking against her. And that's because she's irrelevant at this point. Because when you go to the family court, what really matters is the system, what matters is the judge and the people who inform the judge. You must completely detach from the narcissist. You should end up in a place where it's like a vague memory of something that happened. Yes, you need the facts down. You need to have your documentation, and we talk about that in a moment. But you can't really focus on even exposing the narcissist. Your goal is to see your children, to have them in your life as much as possible. So if you're afraid of losing things, you cannot do this. This is not a venture for the faint of heart. You really have to be ready for the battle with the narcissist. So let's assume you've sorted yourself out, you've grieved a lot of your insecurities, a lot of your weaknesses, a lot of things that you regret about your life, about the narcissist and otherwise. You miss your children, you've grieved the time you've missed with them, and you've let go of a lot of your fear. And you understand that anytime you feel any of those things, you go back and let them go, right? So let's say you've assumed all that. Your next step is to start preparing your court case. Your court case, you remember, it's between you and the judge. You are going against the state because the state will, in one way or the other, support the mother. But you have to be ready to bring all the focus you have, all the energy you have, and a lot of your time to put towards the case. You have to start preparing. I recommend that you speak to at minimum 10 different lawyers, whether you get free consultations or paid consultations. You need to have a very clear picture of what's going on. And my belief is that lawyers are aware of a lot of the things I'm sharing with you, but they don't share it with people, they don't share them with clients, because that's what drives the family court. The drama that narcissists and other personality disordered people bring to the courts is what makes the most money, because that's where the most professionals are involved. So people get paid a lot. So I believe that they are aware, but secretly they prefer for that to exist. Otherwise, they won't be needed. If all the people who have personality disorders got healed overnight, the family court will reduce to about 4% of what it is right now. And the whole industry around it would. So this shows you how much profit there is from a narcissist, which means your case has to be really, really strong. Because, of course, every now and then they want to show that they are not biased. So you want to be that father that gets a better result than, let's say, 99% of the fathers. That's how harsh this is. So you need to speak to at least 10 lawyers, because that will give you a full perspective on what's going on. But before you speak to your lawyer, you have to document everything that has happened. If there are already allegations you are aware of, write them down. If you are making your own allegations, write them down as well, and be clear on what you want. If I knew what I know now, I would have gone straight away for 100% live with order. In the UK, we have what we call the live with order, which is similar to, not the same as, but similar to custody. I would have gone for 100%. I didn't go for 100%. So I have a shared live with order, which is also very difficult to get, because in the UK, most fathers have spent time with order, which is similar to what you have in the States called visitation. rights. So basically, you're visiting your child, or your child is visiting you. Or, well, spending here we say spending time with you, but they don't live with you. So I had to fight for the live with order, and actually had to go to a higher court. I had to appeal my case, and I successfully won my appeal, um, and got a shared live with order. And apparently, less than 2% of family court cases in the UK um, win their appeals. But the reason why I won was I put in a lot of time, energy, effort, focus into doing it. So what I'm sharing with you is from my actual experience, and also the experience of fathers whom I've helped through the process. So that's where the idea came from for the brave fathers, because it takes a lot of courage to go against a narcissist in court. So when you speak to 10 lawyers, it doesn't mean you are going to employ all of them, but if you can, pay for those consultations. A lot of them give free consultations for the first time, half an hour, some of them give an hour, but speak to at least 10. Because the lawyers lie, they lie a lot. Some will discourage you, some will encourage you, but by speaking to all of them, you start getting the picture, because there is a predetermined pattern that your case will follow. You want to break that pattern, yes, but there's already a predetermined pattern, which is the path of least resistance for the court. So it's like a river that has already made its way, right? So you're trying to create a different direction, maybe a stream or something, if you will. So I think I spoke to about 25 different professionals, if not more. I literally went to more than one in more than one city, because at the time I moved about a bit, and went to where, near the courthouses, there's usually lots of law offices, and I I just would walk in, get a free consultation, they'll say come back in 2 hours, come back tomorrow, whatever, walk into the next one, and booked a lot of them, including criminal lawyers, because I wanted to understand the criminal aspect of it. And I spent a lot of time reading case law. If you're in the UK, you should get the Red Book, which is the Family Court Practice Guide. It's what judges use as well in court, and all the top barristers. So you get a lot of information of how the law works. If you are in the States, look out for Father X on X, formerly known as Twitter. So look at, I think his handle is Father X 2020. I'm not certain, but if you look for Father X, custody or family courts, you will find him. He has a lot of information on what to do if you live in the United States. And of course, if you need this, emotional support or further information on how to let go of the narcissist, how to detach, feel free to get in touch with me at bravefathers.com. But your key step in preparation in the beginning is just gathering information. Because once you've gathered the information, you will know which directions your case will go, and you will know what each decision means. And I'll give you an example. So in the UK, we have something we call the non-molestation order, which is similar to the restraining order in most countries. So now, a lot of lawyers will say, look, just get the non-mol, that's the short form for the molestation order. So they say, get the non-mol and with no admissions, and agree to it for 2 years. Excuse me. And a lot of fathers agree to it, thinking it doesn't matter because the law says there's no admission, so there's no, it doesn't mean anything. But what you find out at the next hearing is that you have even less contact with your children, or you're completely cut off because you have a non-molestation order, and that non-molestation order will be used as evidence that you are an abusive person, that you need to be restricted. It will restrict a lot of the things, and the terms of the order may be very restrictive as well. But the lawyers will tell you, yeah, do it. But once you've got a clearer picture, you realize, oh, wait a minute, that's a fork in the road. This way is I accept the non more. This way is I fight it. The lawyer says accept it, but I already know from speaking to all these people that I need to fight it. You see what I'm saying? So there are several decisions you make in your case that seem trivial, that seem minor, that seem very tiny, and yet those decisions will throw your case off the rails completely. So the more people you speak to, the better. Because again, the narcissist is not going to have any mercy on you. She's going to be ruthless. Ruthless. So you need to know what you're doing. And also, you don't want to be in shock when things happen, because a lot of fathers get shocked because they think, oh, I'm going to go to court, I'm going to present my case, I'm going to say the truth, I'm going to say what happened, and then I'm going to see my kids, maybe that same day. Whereas in reality, many of these cases drag for a long time. Now, if you have a lot of evidence of her abuse, so you have videos, maybe you have photographs, audio recordings, abusive messages, and so on and so forth, I would suggest that from the get-go, you go for 100% live with. The reason is this. If you don't go for 100%, any allegation you make will be minimized with, yeah, but you said the kids are safe with her to be with at least half the time. So all your arguments will be destroyed right away. And frankly, I didn't know this. No lawyer told me about this part. So even speaking to all those lawyers wasn't enough. So don't underestimate how much work you have to do. I did avoid a lot of traps because at some point, the social workers and everybody was like, look, you can't see your children at all, like at all, for a period of time. And then I would have to make a new application to court. So that means, it will have taken another year or two before I could even try to fight for my kids. So, but because I was aware of the traps, I was able to prepare for that. But we don't have the time to go into that specific situation that I had. But a lot of fathers get into that trap where they are told, for a year or for 2 years, you cannot even apply to court to see your children. So it is worth speaking to people, but sometimes you may miss something. And that's why also listening to this kind of information is important. Or again, listening to people like Father X is very important, because that way you will also learn from the mistakes that we have made, and the mistakes that lawyers won't tell you about. They just won't. So once you've spoken to all those lawyers and you've studied law on your own time, here are some of the tips that you need. Number one, she's lying. Good news, she's gonna lie again. So if you study her statements, her allegations, you start seeing the inconsistencies. So if you do get to a cross-examination, because sometimes in UK they avoid it, but if you do get to a cross-examination, you can frame your questions in such a way that it will be clear that she's lying. And if you do it enough times within a short period of time, she will expose herself on her own. You don't have to worry about it. She'll do it at the moment when you least expect it. So that's why it's important to detach. You focus on yourself and what you're doing. And because she's lying, you will likely be able to counter her arguments with something more reasonable and with evidence. You must have as much evidence as possible. So don't feel bad about the fact she is lying. As believe it was Marcus Aurelius said, the obstacle becomes the way, right? So her lies are the obstacle, but now they become the way. You realize, oh wait, she's gonna lie a lot. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Please keep lying, right? And then you show all the inconsistencies. A lot of times she will lie 2 or 3 times about the same situation within one statement. So that gives you a chance to prove that she's not being truthful. And often, not always, but often they forget what they lied about. So they make up a new story. So again, that will work in your favor. And if you're now emotionally relaxed, more comfortable with yourself, more confident, more focused, she will feel that she cannot feed on you, that she cannot attack you the same way she used to. And that will destabilize her emotional state, and she'll start exposing her abusive side because she needs to feed on that. Because when she's in the courtroom and it's not all about her, she's not gonna like that. And when she realizes you are not about her, then she will expose herself in various ways. So all that works to your advantage. Now, your cross-examination is perhaps the most important part of it. So in the UK, you cannot examine her directly because she will have alleged domestic abuse. So, or either way, you will have to allege domestic abuse. By the way, if I've not mentioned it, you will have to allege the abuse that has happened to you. So, a victim of domestic abuse or a perpetrator of domestic abuse cannot cross-examine the other person in UK courts. I don't know about the rest of the world. So you either have a lawyer or one will be assigned for you. If one is assigned for you, your case will really drag for a long time because it's not easy to find one. But you want to frame your questions in such a way that even the most biased QLR assigned to your case, because many are biased, cannot avoid putting her in a bad position because you because you have worked so much on your questions that she can't swerve them, she can't avoid them, right? But it takes skill. So by the way, all the things I'm telling you, you still have to know how to do them. So don't just rush to do them. Spend time to really work on them. And if you're struggling with any part of it, just get in touch with me and let's see how we can work that out. So working on your questions, that will expose a lot. But sometimes you have to fight your case on submissions. So what that means in UK courts is that everything is just spoken to the judge and written to the judge, right? So you have your statements, your witness statements, your position statements, and you make submissions, which is basically your arguments to the court. In which case, you have to prepare the inconsistencies ahead of time and really show that she's lying. However, here is the important part. If the abuse allegations from either side are such that it affects contact with children, then you will have a fact-finding hearing. So in that case, there's no avoiding of cross-examination. So that is the advantage you have. Also, be truthful. If you did something wrong and you're honest about it and you're able to show your remorse, a lot of times the courts will accept that you are remorseful. And if you are shown to be a better witness than the mother, then that will work in your favor as well. Now, another route which you might want to go is to have an expert witness do an assessment. So you want a qualified psychologist to do an assessment on you and the mother of your children, perhaps the children as well, because that may reveal the abuse. Now, this is tricky. In the UK, you do what we call a Part 25 application. And this has certain stipulations when children are involved. So the judge, for example, has to give permission to assess the children. And you have to apply, in most cases, at the very first hearing. So your first hearing dispute resolution appointment. Again, we find out what it is where you live if you don't live in the United Kingdom. But having spoken to fathers from all around the world is a similar process everywhere. Most countries in the West, especially, have their laws based on the English laws. One way or the other, or the Magna Carta. So you are very likely to have a similar process. Now it's very difficult to get an expert witness to be approved by the judge. So Part 25 applications are very difficult to make because you have to prove why, CAFCAS, which is the Court Advisory Service in the UK, they are basically social workers who advise the court on your case. The court will have to know why can't they make the assessment. And so this requires, certain techniques, which I don't like to put out in the public. So reach out to me privately if you're thinking of doing this, and speak to your lawyer, speak to a qualified legal professional about this. You need to really prepare your application so the judge says yes. Because if you get a good expert witness, that will expose the narcissist. In fact, it is such a good way of exposing the narcissist that the femis, you know who I'm talking about, they are actually fighting to remove expert witnesses from the court system, or they want to have some control over the expert witnesses. Why? Because a lot of abusive mothers are exposed this way, and it destroys the narrative that only males are abusive. So it's difficult to get one approved, but if you do get one approved, again, you have to be careful of which one you choose and so on and so forth, but that's another thing. But a Part 25 application for an expert witness, a psychologist, can actually help you win the case. And in many cases, that's the only way you will win 100% live with or 100% custody, depending on where you live, with your children. Most cases where the children are transferred to the father, it's after an expert witness report. So that's a very, very important step in court. So that's like the silver bullet, But again, it takes a lot of work. And even lawyers get it wrong sometimes because there's a lot of stipulations. Now, this is about all we have time for today. So what I'm going to do is to give you a quick recap of what we've spoken about today and just a couple more tips. So we've looked at the stages that the narcissist uses to get you. You have to understand those stages because those stages is what you use to free yourself from the influence of the narcissist. It takes time and it takes some work and it's a painful process. Nonetheless, it's very necessary. Once you've gone through those stages, you want to go into the gathering of information step. So you want to start gathering information on the law. So you want to read case law related to your situation. You want to speak to lawyers. You want to watch videos like this one, find other information, reach out, get as much information as you can. Go to fathers' organizations that can give you advice as well. I find that they are not as trustworthy as they should be because they don't like to stir the pot too much, so to speak. Because again, if the father is an abuser and they help him, they'll also look bad. So you have to be very careful. That's why you have to find your own information. And then you have to start preparing your case. You have to put together all the evidence you've got. You have to, if you're still in the relationship, avoid confrontation, but document everything, find evidence, have evidence. Evidence is what's gonna save you. And learn to emotionally detach from the situation. Now, another important thing is once you're out of the relationship, and this is one of the most important steps, is you have to go no contact with her, with her friends, with her family, with all her people. Cut them off completely. Done. Because if you stay in touch, she will reel you in somehow. And you never know who is against you by pretending to be with you. So you have to be very, very, very careful. right? So no contact is very important. If you have to stay in touch, use a family app. You have to there's Talking Parents, I think My Family Wizard. There are several others. So use one of those, because on those she can't delete the messages if she sends you something abusive. Keep your communication very short and only when necessary. So for example, let's say you're waiting for a hearing 3 months and you're not seeing your kids, and you know you're not seeing your kids. Don't write to her. If whatever she writes to you, ignore it, because it's not related to what you're doing. Don't start an argument because she try to hook you in, hoover you in, or cause you to, get upset, or try to argue with her somehow. Don't allow that. You have to be very logistical about everything. 5 o'clock at this place, I'll be there, to pick up the kids. That's it. You know, you don't need to argue about anything, because remember, it's not her that you need to convince. You need to convince the judge. If she says, "Baby, I'm sorry, I've made your favorite meal," and sends you a picture, in some sexy lingerie, do not be a fool and go there, because it's a trap. Okay? Once the narcissist has shown you her true colors, there's no going back. There's no going back. So it's a painful situation, and I do understand your pain, but don't allow it to stop you from being the man that you are. Don't allow a female narcissist to win by making you shrink. In fact, use this situation to your advantage. Become bigger, better, stronger, more powerful, more effective than you've ever been. Build yourself up. If you fall, get up, try again. Keep going, keep going. The protocol is we keep going. And sometimes you will feel like giving up, but you keep going. No matter what happens, be bigger, better, stronger. This is the life that you've been given, and everybody has some kind of pain they go through. This is yours. This is mine. So accept it. Don't try to bargain with life. Just accept that this is what it is, and keep going. You will see a brighter day, you will see a better day, and your life will get better. You will have a better life than you had before you met the narcissist. You will become more attractive to women, so you can attract a higher quality of woman, a woman who actually really respects you, right? You will learn how not to rush into relationships, not to allow somebody to be your girlfriend or wife too quickly, or have children with them too quickly. And all those things will make you stronger and just more of a man that you already are. So, in my view, this is an experience to be learned from, and it's an experience that will make you stronger. So, if you need any help, reach out to me. If you're in the UK, you can call on 077 77 905 607. That's 077 905. Sorry, let me do it again. 077 77 905 607. If you are in the United States and you want to call, it's the same number, and just add +44. I will have a US number as well at some point, so you can call in. Otherwise, just reach out via email or go to bravefathers.com, and I'm right here to answer your questions. Feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to send me a direct message, and just, let's see what we can do to help you. It's no point going through it alone when you have people who have gone through the same thing and know how to help you and can help you, and you can help yourself. Excuse me. I think I'm getting some allergies. Yes, but with that sneeze, I think it's time to end today. So thank you for watching. The answer is yes, you can win against a female narcissist in family courts. You can definitely win. And you're already winning because you are here and we spend this time looking at some strategies, techniques, and important advice on how to move forward. Thank you once again. I'm so grateful for you being here. And I'll see you very soon. All the best. This is John Paul from bravefathers.com. Take care of yourself.
bravefathers.com